The Cool Contraption Guy with Tom Fox, workshop editor for Boys Quest and Fun for Kids magazines, presents the Jumpstart Supervisor.
As its name indicates, the Jumpstart Supervisor will supervise the user whenever he or she attempts to jumpstart a car. The supervisor will let the user know, with a flashing red light, that the jumpstart he or she is about to make may prove disastrous. Also, the Jumpstart Supervisor can be used to let the user know, before a jumpstart is attempted, if the battery is really likely the problem. A less costly problem the supervisor can be used to detect is a bad connection. In addition, it can be used with a bit of experience to discover if a faulty alternator is causing the dead battery problem. The parts list for the Jumpstart Supervisor is shown here and is also given in the description. The schematic and the component mounting guide can be downloaded with links provided in the description. The full-scale foil pattern for the circuit board can be downloaded with a link given in the description. The printed circuit board, as well as the complete kit of parts except for the jumper cable for the Jumpstart Supervisor, is available. To order a Jumpstart Supervisor PC board or a kit, see magielectronics.com. These are the parts we need to make the Jumpstart Supervisor.
This is the circuit board, a close-up of the circuit board. These are silk screens, so it shows where the parts go, which makes it easier. Of course, also refer to the component mounting guide that's both on the video and you could download from the description. Now we have here, there's a couple things here. One, from here, A to A prime, there's that jumper wire goes there. Another jumper wire goes from B to B prime, and there's a little jumper wire from C to C prime. Now that's this one is optional. I put it in because it will be for bar graph display for the LEDs, which prefer to a moving dot display, which is, if you leave this jumper out, that's what you'll have. Show how we can start putting parts in. They call it stuffing a board, by the way. First of all, the most important, which is this IC1 at U1, this LM3914. Now you notice we have to orient this right. There's a little notch here. It has to line up with that little notch. And you put it into the holes like this. And you press it in there. Now also, this is a kind of another little tricky one, is this these LEDs, because they got to go in just right. And you can tell the short wire in LED goes on through the hole that has a little square on the back. So this square here, so this goes like this, like that. See where the shorter through the little square. Now, another one that's a little tricky are these rectifiers. Now here's a rectifier here. Here though, you can see right from the front, this little band here, that goes on the side with this band there. This potentiometer goes into these holes, and you have to, they fit right, but you just have to bend them just right so they do go in like that. Now the resistors, it doesn't matter which way they go in. All these resistors, R1, R2, R3, they do not matter which one they go in. However, you got to have the right resistor in the right spot. As you can see, we are done inserting all the parts into our circuit board. A couple interesting things here. One is this: we've put also this jumper here, and these jumpers here, and those are needed because this is only a single-sided board.
In order to keep the parts from dropping out when we turn it over to solder it, we bend over the leads, and we also put a piece of material such as, like you use an old sock, and we tie it with some wire.
Now, as you solder, the important thing is to make sure you don't get a cold solder joint, and the best way to do is you heat up both the lead and the foil, and then you put the solder between the two. Now we check over first time, and you know what, I've already seen something problem here. Look at this. I missed that solder connection there. You look for, right now, you look for mist solder, cold solder joints, mist solder joints, that like this one, and also for solder bridges.
The next thing we do is connect the wires that we are going to connect to the jumper cable wires. We connect one of the red wires, and then we connect one of the black wires. And then we solder them. And the next thing to do is to test it.
Now we're going to test out the Jump Start Supervisor. In order to do that, we're going to need a 12 volt power supply. You can use a variable voltage power supply. You can use a fully charged car battery, or you can use two 6 volt lantern batteries, which is what we're going to do with this right now. In order to get 12 volts out of these two, we have to connect them in series, and we connect the positive terminal of one battery to the negative terminal of the other. Now we have 12 volts, actually it's about 12.25 volts approximately, between this battery and this battery. This is the positive and this is the negative. We're going to connect, we're going to do it right. We know this should be positive and this is positive, so we'll see. Connect there, and we'll connect this one to the negative terminal, and we'll see what happens to our Jumpstart Supervisor, what it shows. Okay, apparently it works. Now the next step is to adjust our Jumpstart Supervisor. And since this is approximately the voltage of a fully charged car battery, we just want to adjust this with this, we use a little bitty Phillips screwdriver and adjust this until the green one just lights. Like that, just barely lights. And now that, we like that to calibrate at that position. It seems to be the best. So far our tests indicated it works. Now we want to reverse the connections. In other words, put the black where it's positive, and the red to the negative, which is just which is a bad thing to do when you're doing try to jump start a car. But we'll see what happens here. Okay, well look at the red LED is flashing, which means we got it wrong. So it seems that everything seems to be working. Okay, now that everything seems to be tested out, everything's working and it seems to be calibrated. Our next step is to mount the Jump Start Supervisor to a jumper cable. That's what we'll do. Okay, now we have to attach this Jump Start Supervisor to the jumper cables, and we want to make sure the right length. We're going to be twisting these wires around the cable, so it has to be a little bit longer here. And we can use you can use just plain insulated hookup wire and then twist it, or you could use these plastic cable ties. So we're going to use the plastic cable ties. So now we got it attached. Now we just twist it around and attach these wires to the actual alligator clips. Now that we have to connect this wire from the Jump Start Supervisor to this cable here, this clamp that we use, the alligator clip clamp. To do that, we drilled a hole. We put a 6/32 screw in there. We added a black washer in behind here, and then we putting in a nut. Try to start this nut here. Sometimes we've had. Now we started it. So now tighten it a little bit so we can get the. Then we put our wire twisted around there, and then all we have to do is pull back the handle, and it'll hold that in place. Now next, all we have to do the same thing for a black cable, only of course we use the black wire from the Jumpstart Supervisor.
Here we show how to use the Jumpstart Supervisor when we try to jump a battery in a Chevy truck with a battery in a Suburban. The first thing we do is to connect the black jumper cable to a good ground, and we chose a bolt. And then we connect the red one to what we think is the positive one. We hope everything should be good now. Now we look at our supervisor, and it shows good. Our green LED is lit, as well as the bar graph, which shows one of the green LEDs, which means everything is good. And also, you notice the red was not flashing. But now let's try something a little bit different. Let's try this. Let's say we did it wrong, and what we'll do is we'll remove the black from the ground and put the red on the ground. And this is like if we would have wound up with putting the black with a positive ground car, which is like the old Fords. Now we connect it up, and what happens? We got it wrong, and you can see it's wrong because the red LED is flashing. So we know we screwed up there. So we want to go back to where we had it originally, the red on the positive terminal and the black on the ground bolt. Now, and then we want to go to Suburban and connect the jumper cables to it. However, first we must remove the black from the ground on the truck. Okay, now we see this is a little easier job here because they're top posts instead of the side posts, which are a lot more difficult to use. And because of that, we can just use the top terminals instead of using the ground. So we connect our black jumper cable to the negative and the red jumper cable to the positive. And then we'll check the supervisor to see what it reads. It looks good. It looks like we did it right. The green LED is lit and the red LED is not flashing.
To the bad battery, and all we have to do now is connect the black to the ground.
And then start the Suburban's engine.
And now now we're going to look at the, and we see, what do we see here? We see all the LEDs lit, means we're producing a lot of voltage, and what's going on now is charging the dead battery a bit, so it won't be so easier to start. We wait a couple minutes, and then we start the bad car with the bad battery, and we're on our way. Okay, now after it starts. We started a good battery, we'll let it run to charge up the bad battery. After a couple minutes, we start the car with the bad battery, and we'll be on our way. Then, of course, when we're on our way, we have to remove the jumper cables, and we do that by first removing the black ones from the ground.
As has been touched upon in this video, the Jumpstart Supervisor does more than supervise the jump start of a vehicle. For more information on its other features, see our next YouTube video, using the Jumpstart Supervisor. For information on purchasing parts, complete kits, or completed and tested Jumpstart Supervisor, visit magiclandelectronics.com. Thank you for watching.